Hi, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very delighted to be part of the event today. I really thank the organizers for organizing it and for all the efforts behind. And thank you very much also for inviting me to be a panelist for today. How I wished to meet everyone face to face today, and I hope very soon we would be able to meet face to face rather than in the virtual space. Um, my topic today is actually about the importance of local tourism and its impacts. And as a matter of fact, this is a very broad topic, which I tried very much to concentrate it only on the Swiss market. But before starting, I would love to have a minute to introduce myself. Um, I come from a different background than hospitality. 25 years ago, I moved from the pharma industry, which today very important, to the tourism industry. And this is exactly when I joined Swiss Quality Hotels. And during the 25 years, I've gained a broad experience in different fields, including revenue management, to digital marketing, including search engines optimization, search engines marketing, social media marketing, and an in-depth knowledge of different markets worldwide, whether in USA or in Asia or in Europe. So the topics I'd like to share with you today, just a brief introduction about Swiss Quality Hotels, whom are we and where we are. So I'll be just introducing Swiss Quality Hotels International. We're looking on the local tourism in Switzerland with a market update. And then we look somehow on the booking behaviors of the local market, the Swiss clients, and we come to the conclusion. Swiss Quality Hotels is really a unique collection of hotels. We don't do hard branding. Each hotel is an individually managed and owned hotel. And Swiss Quality Hotels is a no-profit organization. Each member hotel is a shareholder of the company. We have more than 60 hotels in Switzerland, covering 45 destinations and beautiful nature, um, unspoiled nature in the mountains, by the lakes, in the cities. So basically, we cover all over Switzerland. And as I mentioned, each hotel is different, but we have one thing in common is we do our best to exceed the expectations of the guest by providing high quality service. What do we do for the hotels? Just show you a chart here. It looks complicated. It is just part of our distribution. We believe very much of channel mix for the hotels. As a matter of fact, Swiss Quality Hotels was the first hotel group to go live on booking.com back in 2004 with live inventory and rates. But always we go on and enhance our distribution to cover different parts of the world and important clients to the hotels as well as for the partners. But this is not limited only to distribution. We share our know-how with all the members and support them in different aspects, including revenue management, analyzing their performance, and accordingly provide them with the right approach to enhance their positioning. We are always there to give them the support needed for better performance. Moving ahead and about the local market, I would like just to have the chance to define what tourism is about. I mean, the local tourism is about. Um, it is tourism involving Swiss residents traveling within Switzerland. And for today presentation, it is and spending at least one overnight in a hotel. So wherever you see an overnight, total overnight, you would be just referring to the hotels. I didn't include camping, which is really booming in Switzerland, especially during the COVID-19 time. I'm not covering the vacation rentals, so basically just on the hotel business, excluding the value added like shopping, souvenirs, restaurants, and whatever, which is very valuable for the tourism in Switzerland. The local market produced 45% of the total overnights in Switzerland in 2019, and in 2020 they produce around 65% of the total revenue generated, total overnights generated from Switzerland. How I would love to show you actually figures more than just overnights, but I'm afraid I was not able to get all the figures on the Swiss level. So I will just refer to overnights. So before we get into, we have to see what the segments are in the Swiss market, which could and might apply to different markets as well. So we have the wellness, nature lovers, business, meetings and events, culture, family trips, road trips, which is very, very popular, becoming now in Switzerland with the Grand Tour of Switzerland, which is covering 1,643 kilometer of sceneries and unspoiled nature, and the outdoor activities, whether it is summer, winter, as well as the city breaks. And under each segment, there is also another segment, which is the age group, the age segment, which is also each age segment um, needs its own, has its own expectations and desire for what to experience. The Swiss market, unfortunately, in 2020, due to the COVID, there was a great loss in the total overnights generated in Switzerland, which is obvious for everyone here. But the Swiss market was the least. The Swiss local market was performing better than any other market, and this is also obvious. There was a great loss from India, there was a great loss from Greater China, but Switzerland had only a 10.9% loss in the overnights. Looking further on, and this is a very interesting part to see how the overnights developed during the time of the year in 2020, and we can see the drop in April going up very high in July, where there was a 20% increase of the local business within Switzerland, in Switzerland, for the Swiss hotels. Somehow it compensated the loss of the international guests, but of course, with only 45% market share from the local market in 2019, still we are missing the 55%, which is very, very important for the Swiss market. Now, looking, each tourism market has reacted in the current situation differently. The cities, big cities, there was a big loss of minus 73%. This is just taking into consideration all source markets. I'm not concentrating now to this to local market, but I'm looking on all the markets for the tourist destinations. But the figures, they look much better for the local market in 2020, where the mountains, the lakes, Ticino, Jura, eastern Switzerland, they've enjoyed an increase, especially in Graubünden, Grisden area, where they had an increase of 35.7%. And as you see, Zurich region is 56.3%. And when we talk about the region, Zurich, I have to point out that there are many hotels around the airport of Zurich that they were really mainly working on mass groups coming from abroad. And this was not being able to be compensated from the local market. I just did a small research on Google, and I monitor Google Analytics, which is one tool I'm using for our marketing activities. And it was very interesting to see, even if if the guests, if the Swiss people were searching for a hotel in Zurich, they wanted to have a hotel by the lake. They wanted to have a room with a jacuzzi or with a private swimming pool. So actually, after the closure, they were looking for different things than just a hotel in the city center. And I've noticed also that the hotels that they are outside the city center from Lucerne, which is a very nice place to be, they were looking for hotels by the lake or even outside the city center, which is very clear. And you can see the figures here, missing also the business part and missing the meetings and events, including weddings. Moving ahead, I just wanted to share with you, I mean, everybody knows Google Trends, but it is a very interesting thing to see that Booking.com is mainly searched in Switzerland, even during the COVID time. It is unclear if Booking.com was the source to find a hotel and then the hotel will be booked directly by the client, or it was really the booking was done on Booking.com. But no doubts that the OTAs, especially Booking.com, for the local market is still playing a very important role. Although many bookings were done from the Swiss market during the COVID time directly to the hotels. Looking on future, unfortunately, I wish I have been able to see a different graph than what I'm seeing now. They expect to come to normal in 2024 to reach the same amount of travelers who traveled in 2019. I hope the graph and the expectations are wrong, so that I hope that we will recover very soon. But if this is the case, then the local market in Switzerland will stay for a long time, at least for the coming 2 to 3 years, very important producer for the hotel industry in Switzerland. Moving ahead, I just wanted to share with you, not from the statistical federal bureau from Switzerland, but I wanted to share with you some data from our CRS, because every single booking that is coming from, regardless which channel, has to go through our CRS, and we have a lot of data to analyze and to see. And what is interesting is that the book window from all the markets it shows that, of course, there's within 7 days there are many bookings coming. But if we look on the 2020, which mainly they were Swiss clients, we can see that they decide in a very short time to go to a hotel in the mountains, by the lake, or whatever their choices. And you can see here as well that in 2018, 25% of the total reservations were done between 0 to 3 days. In 2019, 25, which is almost the same, but in 2020, 39% of the reservations, they were done between 0 and 3 days. And this is really a problem for the hotels to manage forecast, to manage revenue management system, which we will look at it afterwards. Cancellation wise, local market, of course, each local market worldwide will react differently, is also very different. But regarding the Swiss market, the Swiss, they tend to cancel less than any other markets. Whatever is red was canceled, and whatever is green is materialized. And if we look, that was in 2019. Still, I mean, India plays a very big role in the amount of cancellations, the same as in Thailand. With all my respect to all the countries, with all the tourists, please don't misunderstand me of saying anything that, but the facts that this is what it shows. And now, if we're looking on 2020, the booking behavior, the cancellation behaviors, the Swiss, again, around 15% of the reservations were cancelled before arrival. So many reservations were materialized. I thought to share with you a small case study which I was able to do. I just took one hotel, is a member hotel, has got a guest review of 8.9 from 10, and an average guest review. And it is by the lake. It is a conference meeting hotel, but also a wellness hotel, and was really doing very well during the COVID. He was able to switch business from the OTAs. He was able to almost 50% to go down with the market share from the OTAs, and he switched it to direct booking for this. And this is really very interesting to see that the local markets, they tend to book online, or to call, or to send an email. I wanted to share with you figures about the offline business, but I couldn't compare it with 2020. So I couldn't compare it with 2019. Now, how they book, this is also very interesting. Most of the bookings are done on the PC and not on the phone. But looking on other data that we were able to get either from Google Analytics or any other tools, we were able to see that a lot of searches were done on the phone, but the bookings were done on the website. And this hotel was able to have an average daily rate increase of 8%, which is also very positive for that specific hotel. But please don't misunderstand. I mean, there were so many other hotels that were suffering, even destinations, they were suffering, and I hope they will recover very soon. Now, looking on the figures and what I've mentioned, the local market stays a very important market, even pre-COVID, and it is during the COVID, and most probably after the COVID, the Swiss guests will be coming to Switzerland, they tend to have to pay a higher average rate per night for the hotels. The international guests, if we consider all the groups, and you know that the groups dilute the average daily rate for the hotels, they tend to book directly, and this means that there are less cost per booking or acquisition, as no involvements of intermediaries. And important payments are done directly at the hotel, so the hotel doesn't have to wait for so long. The other aspect is that the Swiss guests, hopefully with the during this time now, they will become loyal to different hotels, whereby the international guests, they might be only, depending on the destination where they come from, is one life trip. So unfortunately, if the situation will continue as it is now for the coming years, I personally believe that there will be many businesses going out of business. Whatever applies to the hotels, it might also apply to the cable car companies where they were working on mass groups, even if they were just coming for one day visit to Switzerland. So this is really an impact. So we cannot just replace the local tourism with the international tourism. Um, the local leisure tourism in Switzerland is mostly weather dependent. So it is very difficult to predict how tomorrow the bookings will be, and it makes it difficult to forecast and even difficult to optimize the rate for the coming days. So they need a sophisticated revenue management system that will take into account every variable to optimize the rate. Again, the Swiss market is a very small market. The competition is very high, and the Swiss guests are more selective, and they have much higher expectations than the international guests. And we've seen that on the reputation management system we use, where we monitor all the hotels that the Swiss, they really were picking up on different things that the international guests were didn't care about. Now, on the other side, the daily expenditure, if there is a Chinese client coming to Switzerland, staying 3 days, going and buying a watch for 15,000 Swiss francs as a souvenir to take back home, so his daily expenditure will be around 5,000 Swiss francs. So we should not concentrate only on the overnights, but also on the daily expenditure, including hotels, excursions, foods, souvenirs, luxury products, whatever is included. By now, I think I've been done. I hope I've given you an inside look on the local market in Switzerland during the COVID time, and I'm happy to answer questions if there are any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nashashibi. It's really an interesting topic to look into local tourism and local effects on our industry itself. So one of the questions that we come up with from the chat is COVID-19 the main factor towards moving into more local tourism, or are there other reasons to it as well?
Well, I mean, this is a very interesting question. The thing is that at this moment, I'm unable to really answer if it has a different factor that affected the decision of the Swiss with this increase because it is really the COVID 19 during this time. So, but as I showed before, the Swiss market, the Swiss guests are very important for the Swiss tourism market in Switzerland. And the Swiss, they love to travel. You know, you live in Switzerland, and you see that the Swiss, they love to travel, and we have many vacations that they are specifically done, like the ski vacations, like the autumn vacations for hiking, biking. So it is really very difficult for me to say, well, this is another aspect that made the decision of the Swiss people to stay in Switzerland. I hope I answered the question.
Totally, thank you. We have a second question for you, a little bit more personal, I would say. So you have almost 30 years of experience in different industries, and so in with different backgrounds, I would say. So when during your career, when did you start to realize that local tourism is something important and that we really need to talk about it?
Well, early from the beginning, when I started in the in Swiss quality hotels, early from the beginning, I realized that the local market is a very important market for the hotels because, I mean, figures they show that they are important, and accordingly, we have managed to acquire many guests, Swiss guests, to our hotels through different activities. Now, my background, as I said before, is very different. I mean, I'm a chemist with a postgraduate in pharmaceutical chemistry, and I moved to Switzerland about 25 years. I come from a very holy city, Jerusalem, where I also worked during my studies in a hotel, and have been always passionate for tourism and hotel industry. Any other questions?
Thank you. We have a last one actually. So how does Swiss quality hotels handle the COVID actions? How Swiss guests accept the actions made by the government? For example, Austria and Germany living much longer with the 1 or 2 lockdown, masks, etc.
Yeah. We have well, to answer the question, I mean, and if you just look now on the current situation where Germany, Italy, and France, they will be closing the winter sport till the mid of January. Switzerland and Austria, they are not going to do that. They provide the Swiss government with the Ministry of Health. They are providing very tough measures for the hotels, for the restaurants, and for the cable cars, that they are able to accommodate guests to feel safe. As a matter of fact, also, Switzerland Tourism with other organizations, they launched a campaign called Safe and Healthy program for minimum amount of requirements that the hotel should do to keep and maintain a healthy environment for the guests. I know our numbers during the COVID now, they are getting high, but they are getting also less and less day by day. And I hope we will recover soon.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
we all do. And we have one last question for you. Are you expecting the local tourism to go up further, or do you expect it to decline?
Honestly, looking on the numbers and just analyzing how things would be, most probably once the borders will open, most probably we'll go back to 45% share of the Swiss people traveling. This is just making an assumption that every single Swiss, after post COVID-19 will be ready to travel around with all the restrictions that we see and we hear about. So most probably, I believe that it will be back into normal in 2019 like it used to be in 2019.
Thank you very much for your answers,
You're
Mr.
welcome. And
Nashashibi.
thank you very much for
We found
this opportunity as well.